Chapter 55. Ilang beses akong nagising kagabi. The first one was around 2 a.m. when I felt someone was actually with me. Yung pangalawa ay dahil sa pagbangon ni Gab. He's out on the balcony, only wearing a bathrobe. Hulmado ng malamig na simoy ng gabi ang kanyang hiningat usok na nagmumula sa hawak na sigarilyo. He seemed to be in a deep thought until I realized that he is on the phone. The muscles on his back and neck were tensed as he talked. The third and last was like a dream. I was floating as I felt kisses raining on my throat. He took me again. Nung mataas na ng araw ay saka pa lamang ako nagising. Kumulot kusa ang katawan ko dahil sa nararamdamang hapde. My thighs were sore, my back and my shoulders were sore. So I wouldn't really be surprised if my eyes were sore too. "Good morning," whispered Gab in his bedroom voice. I picked at him through one eye. His hair was gloriously messed up, the tail of last night perfectly showing. Mahinahon ang pagtaas-baba ng kanyang hubad na dibdib. At nang bumaba pa ang aking tingin ay natabingan na yon ng aking floral na comforter. Yeah, whatevs. May bahagyang panlalaki ang aking mga mata nang umiwas ng tingin. What? It's not every day I woke up to some Greek god or something, a naked, a very proud and illegally hot Greek god that's staring me right at the moment. Damn it. "You sleep good?" Gab used a light tone. I flinched and I looked at him. There was absolutely no humor in his eyes that I slopped his broad chiseled chest. Ang tigas noon at ang init kaya binawi ko rin ang palad. Yes, but it's still not enough. Maikli kong bulong at inayos ang pagkakapulupot ng comforter sa aking dibdib. Umayos ako ng upo at hinanda ang sariling tumayo, ngunit nakakaupo pa lamang ako'y napapikit na ako sa sakit. Ramdam na ramdam ko ang hapde sa bandang yun. Na ginawa talaga namin ang mga yun kagabi. Leaving me so soon? Hinila ako ni Gab pabalik at dumausdos ako sa kanyang dibdib. My lips touched his chest so I pulled away fast. Blood rushed to my cheeks as I heard him chuckling. The damn bastard. Lumapat ang kanyang palad sa aking likod. Sadya nitong nilagyan ng puwersa upang wag akong makaalis pa. What do you not enough mean? You want to go again? What? That's not what I meant. I mean, my sleep is not enough. Kulang ako sa tulog, hindi sa ano. I reddened even more. Okay, he nodded, eyes with humor. His hands started to gently tap my lower back, and I stretched above him like a cat. How do you feel right now? Not good. Mahapde. I put my palms on his chest and immediately felt warm too. Thank you for being honest. I'm sorry for being so rough last night. Hindi naman ganun karahas. Siguro, I'm not just used to it since? May hamon sa mga mata ni Gab na mabilis na nagdilim. He poked at the question like he spat the word. Since you've been the only one, sabi ko at kinagat ang labi. Ever. I love you. I love you so much, Christina. Tanging kanyang sinabi habang pilit na hinuhuli ang aking mga mata. Nang hindi ito makontento ay siyang kumalik sa aking noo. Something crazy was happening inside me, making me all warm and fuzzy. Tila ba hindi naging sapat ang pisikal na init galing kay Gab ay inatake naman niya ang aking kalooban. My mind was fast to save that memory and my heart was too slow to recover from it. Alam ko sa sarili kong lalabas din kami sa silid na ito at haharap sa mundo. Nagpapasalamat na lamang ako sa kung anong puwersa, ang anumang nakaharap dahil nabigyan pa ako ng panahon para rito. A good, surreal kind of memory I would never regret. Still biting my lips, I smiled a little. I kissed his forehead back and smiled at him more. Tanghali na noong bumangon kami. medyo masakit pa rin ang katawan ko. Sigab na ang nag-ayos ng kama at nagluto ng pagkain namin. Pagkatapos nun ay iniwan niya ako sa bathtub na siya rin ang nagtimpla. Maya't mayang nagdadala ng dessert. Oh my fucking God, Chris! You're not joking! I can't believe you right now! Romina screeched, bounced on the tiled walls of my bathroom. So, believe me already. Kasama ko sila kagabi at mukhang walang nagtatanggi. Go on. Search Carlos Lopez on Google and Instagram at sabihin mo sa akin ang resulta. Sumubo ng slice ng strawberry at kaunting yogurt. Napangiti ako habang kumakain. Tinitingnan ko ang mga mahiwagang strawberries, blueberries, at kiwi na si Gab ang nag-prepare. Nagpadala iyon ng damit kanina sa kanyang secretary. Hindi ko alam na marami pang kasamang kung ano-ano. I swear, if this is a prank, Chris, isusumbong kita kay Tito ni Klaus. He's been hounding me. Care to make a phone call? Maawa ka naman kay Gov at mukhang puputi lahat ng buhok, Chris. Humahalakak ako. Well, nagilty rin ako pero kapag ginawa ko yun ay baka hindi na ako nadiretso nitong Manila. Alam ni Papa na nakikinig ako sa kanya. He'd advise against it and he's right. But sometimes, I gotta have my own decision. Relax, dear Romina. Nagkausap na kami kanina. Nagalit nga siya but he'll understand. Alright, if that's what you want, pero baka naman iba ang pakay mo riyan sa Manila. Not the reunion but to meet with your ex. Matunog niyang pahayag. I almost got choked. I still haven't told her what happened, yung nangyari sa resort hotel at dito sa aking kondo. Nako, kapag nagkausap na siguro si Beth at Romina ay tiyak na magdadaldal na yung si Sister Beth para makaganti. Huh? I feigned innocence. I'm not a fool and I know you. I smell a different mo. Halakhak niya. Ang totoo ay pumayag ako sa invite ni Alina dahil una ay gusto ko siyang makita at kumustahin. Well, pangalawa, gusto kong patunayan sa sarili ko na kaya ko nang humarap sa mga Thomases. At pangatlo, at pinaka-significant, inaabangan ko ang pagdalo ni Gab. I was somehow expecting him. Deep in my heart, I felt that he's not telling me something. A woman instinct. Naniniwala kong mali ako ng iniisip pero pinatunayan niyang tama nga ako. Naloko na naman ako at mukhang imposible pero heto na naman ako nakasugal. Malayang nakasugal at sa huling pagkakataon ay tatayang muli. Tingnan natin kung sa panahong ito ay mamaliin ulit ako ni Gab. I was giving him this one last chance. We will be there soon, Mina. Baka bukas o sa isang araw. And when we do, we're gonna have a very long conversation. So right now, take care of Papa for me. Paalam ko, pagkatapos naming mag-usap ni Romina sa loob ng kalahating oras. I closed my eyes and slid down a little bit. Kumakanta ang isang sikat na artista sa aking telepono habang nilalaro ko sa aking mga daliri ang rose petals. How cute! Makes me wants to stay here a bit longer. Ilang minuto pang nakalipas ay narinig ko ang tatlong pagkatok sa nakabukas na pinto. You done? It's been almost an hour. Gab leaned on the door frame, wearing a casual long sleeve rolled to his elbow, jeans and leather shoes. Napanguso ako as I shamefully checked him out. His bulging biceps and muscled thighs wrecked my perverse mind. Walang hustisya ang mga yun sa akin kagabi. Almost. Are you going out? I hated how my voice sounded displeased. Yes, and you're coming with me. Ako? Saan naman tayo pupunta? And I especially hated how hopeful that sounded. Bibili ng supplies at groceries. Your fridge is almost empty. We'll have a lunch out and do whatever you want. Lunch? I wrinkled my nose. I pointed at the small bowl in my hands. Napangisi na lamang si Gab. He'll get hungry again after we buy groceries. Pagod ka pa ba? Masakit pa ba? Parang nawala ang mga nakakapit na bula sa aking katawan sa kanyang pagtingin sa akin. Ang kanina pang nanlalamig na tubig ay uminit muli. Tumaas ang aking mga balahibo habang inaalala na naman ang kagabi. How he did that position. Just a little bit. Yun na lang ang nasabi ko. The bath helped, to be honest. Good. Can you walk or we'll just stay here? I don't mind. He shrugged. Are you fucking blind? Hindi ako imbalido. Sex is normal. Halos sabuyan ko siya ng tubig sa kanyang trato sa akin. He's treating me like a porcelain doll now and it's starting to get on my nerves. Well, just a little bit. I still liked it somehow. Napailing ako sa sarili ko. You're too cute. Can I have a kiss, please? Lumakad patungo sa akin si Gab at yumuko. Mabilis agad niyang natunto ng aking pwesto. Halos umisod ako sa pinakadulo ng tub sa paglapit ng kanyang mukha. Why was I suddenly feeling shy? I didn't know. Maybe I kept remembering his eyes last night as he took me. It scared the shit out of me and at the same time, very addicting. Okay, marahan kong sabi. Gab chuckled and swiftly tilted his head to meet mine, his minty breath fanning over my face. I popped a half strawberry into my mouth before he chewed my bottom lip like a bubble gum. Naughty baby girl. He chuckled even more. We spent the afternoon buying groceries and having lunch in a fancy restaurant. Umayos naman ang pakiramdam ko pero mas gaganda siguro bukas o sa isang araw. Tumungo kaming sinehan pagkatapos mag-ikot at tinawagan ko si Beth para sumama sila sa amin. Good afternoon, how are you? Bati ni Carlos nang makita na namin sila. So formal, Engineer Carlos. I beamed at agad na naramdaman ang kamay ni Gab sa aking bewang. I looked at my forlorn cousin, who seemed like she didn't want to go. Marin ko siyang pinagmasdan sa mga bawat liko at sulok ng kanyang mukha at katawan. Any sign or indication that something that shouldn't happen did happen? Magaling magtago ang pinsan ko dahil wala akong makita pero mamay ay baka madulas yan. Tara na! And I like your outfit by the way. Binulong ko ang huling pangungusap kay Beth, who was sporting a black sweatshirt that's too big for her size. Black leggings and Gucci slide sandals. We went to the theater to watch a superhero movie and strolled in a science museum. We had a few pictures in which only Carlos and me were smiling. Pagkatapos nun, dumiretso na kaming kondo. A few can of beers in my hand with Gab by my side, even as I cooked. Mas malalim ang gabi, mas makintab ang mga bituin, masariwa ang ihip ng hangin at mas malaki ang buwan nung gabing yon. The laughs were a little bit forced to please their ears but I still loved it. The day became the night and it ended. We flew back to Cebu the next day. I wore my Ray-Bans while we rode to the estate and behind it were my tears. Diretso ang aking mga labi at nalalamig ang puso. Hindi ko maintindihan ang marahang pagtulo ng mga luha ko. The night Gab and I parted was burned at the back of my mind. We're back again in the real world like fallen lovers. My day turned out bland like the succeeding others. Nagalit lamang si Papa pero alam ko namang mahal niya ako. Nakapag-usap na rin kami ng aking mga pinsan. Partying didn't sound so good to my ears anymore. My phone's notification from Gab sounded like trumpets when entering heaven. I was waiting for the storm that would kill me. The sun was too happy that day, so I didn't even have a single clue. I was practically flying around the house with the hem of my robe as my wing. The pool was already heated and I was already sporting a straw hat when the whole mansion got alerted from a dreadful call. Harold, my papa's secretary, brought news that Governor Nicklaus Canaveri was sentenced to the ER at death's door. Siguro kapag inabangan ang dilubyo ay hindi yon ang dadalo. At sa puntong nangitik at nalimot yon, ng isang segundo ay doon aatake. I felt like the world was fast slipping by my fingers right at that moment. I didn't have anyone to call mine besides Papa, the family I couldn't be left without. Governor Nick went under a heart attack. The doctors were speculating a coronary heart disease. Siwalat ni Kuya Victor sa mga relatives naming dumating. I was with him when the doctor went out of the emergency room only to deliver my father to the OR. One of his bodyguards informed me that it had been a full 10 minutes before he was found unconscious. Isang segundong hindi naagapan ay baka wala na si Papa ngayon. Kuya was swearing under his breath. Bakit naman ganun katagal? Where were his bodyguards, Harold? Tito Bernard roared as Harold began explaining that Papa wants to be specifically alone. Ang kanyang huling hawak ay yung phone niya, sir. Ang utos ni Gov ay iwan siya sa loob ng kwarto. Normal niya kung utos yun. Kahit na! Bodyguards are called bodyguards for a reason. This is unforgivable. You will be all fired and blacklisted. Tito, that's enough. Don't take it out on his men. Romina was brave to intervene, her eyes and nose puffy from crying. I'll handle the press outside and all our statement release. I will help Kuya Vic. Tito, Tita. Arjun spoke clearly. Tumango ako sa magkabatid habang ramdam ang mahigpit na hawak sa akin ni Beth. Kanina pa ako hindi makapagsalita dahil tulo ng tulo ang aking mga luha. Was it my fault? Because this past few days I kept on ignoring his text and calls. Dahil ba yun doon? Ang sabi kasi ni Harold, telepono ang hawak niya. Maybe he's checking on me again and I gave no answer. He's going under surgery right now. The doctors can only confirm that it was a close call and the results will depend on the body. Best we do is to help and support each other and to pray. Si Kuya. Si Justice at Justin sa kanyang likod. They were huddled in groups, discussing and assessing the next step or shit plans they're going to do. In both personal and political terms, nanatili lamang akong nakaupo sa puting bench sa tabi ng pinto ng operating room, nakayoko. Hinahaplos ni Justin ang aking buhok, samantalang si Beth naman ay hindi binibitawan ang aking kamay. Para akong yelo sa panlalamig. My body was shaking because I wasn't familiar with a scenario like this. Not even once did I think about something like this occurring. My father being taken away from me. I was so scared but I held back my tears as hard as I can. Hindi dapat ako umiyak dahil wala naman akong iiyakan. Buhay pa ang papa ko sa likod ng mga pintong yan, lumalaban. So I couldn't understand the tears. Maybe it's guilt. Dumaan na ilang oras ay nilabas na rin kami ng doktor. Nailipat na si Papa sa ICU para obserbahan at nadalaw ko na siya sa kanina. They said he still needs to go under observations and tests, procedures and others to confirm the specific type and kind his heart disease was. But in general, blocked arteries. Takot akong umuwi katulad ng mga iba na nagpapahinga na. I need to see him through the wide glass. His body looking like it's part of the machines. I coldly stared at it for hours, imagining myself to be in his position instead. Umuwi ka na muna, Chris. Get some sleep, okay? We'll handle this. Hinaplos ni Justice ang aking buhok. No. I looked away. Maybe when he'll see me, he'll get better. But I doubt it. Lagi naman kasi akong sakit ng ulo. Rebelde at hindi sumusunod. Bata pa lang ako ay naglayas na akong kaagad at lahat ng utos niya sinuway ko. I wasn't by his side all the times. But not this time. Listen to her, Chris. Just a few hours of rest, then we'll swap. How can you take care of Papa when you can't take care of yourself? Segunda ni Kuya Vic. He won't die. I know it. He won't leave me. Malamig kong sabi. Yes, the surgery was a success. We're just going to wait for his full recovery. There's nothing that will go wrong, okay? Go home, Chris. I heard my brother's sigh of relief when I nodded. Dinuro niya ang aking mga pinsan na kanina pa nag-aabang sa akin para ihatid ako. I saw that Sian was with them and he offered me a sad smile. All right. I looked through the window again to look at my father's frail body attached with wires. All right. Papa, he'll be all right. Chapter 56. Growing up, I always made sure that at the end of the day, I had won my parents' attention. I was the angry kid on the daycare and the rebellious student on high school. Though, in my perspective, I was alone, stupid, and miserable. I was fucked up. Ang naging daan ko kung ano man ako ngayon ay naging malubak at gusot-gusot. But I wouldn't have it any other way. This was me. A weapon that the world created, and I was successfully defending myself until that day. Tumigil ang aking oras at pagtibok ng aking puso. Parang binuhusan ng semento at buhangin ang aking mga lamang loob nang marinig yun. Up to that day when I was just admiring the hospital's healing garden, I was still struck to the core. I could take 1,000 fights and still get up, but that time, I was like a firearm without bullets. Hindi ko iyon laban. That was my father's own battle, and only he could save himself. Stop worrying, Chris. Tito Nick is already fine. Nagpapalakas na lang. Sian's voice brought me back. Whew. Sumandal ako sa bench at nilingon ito. Sumisilip ang masiglang sinag ng araw sa gilid ng kanyang mukha. We're in the same field and we both know that he'll be fine. Baka ikaw pa ang magkasakit niyan, he added. I knew that. I just checked up on Papa a while ago. He's sleeping like a baby, his face regaining its former shape. I was traumatized, Sian. Si Papa na lang ang meron ako. I wouldn't know what to do kapag natuluyan yan. Sagot ko. I understand. But you have your brother and Tito Nick with you right now. May nangyayari talagang mga ganito, but it doesn't mean that you should be stuck at one point. I couldn't imagine the world without someone as bratty as you. Asik niya. Inirapan ko si Sian. He'd been uplifting my spirits for days without a hint of pity. Alam niyang palalayasin ko lamang siya kapag ganun ang ginawa niya. As a medical practitioner, I'd been exposed to life and death situations. Those cases were endless and unstoppable. The hardest part wasn't behind the green curtains but outside, going to the family as the harbinger of death, trying everything we can. God would do the rest. Those things. Aaminin kong hindi lang sa ulo masakit ang pag-aaral ng medisina kung hindi sa puso rin. Every person has a heart and emotions, whether it's a priest, a construction worker, a doctor, or a nurse, or a politician. I tried to be encouraging as possible in a professional level whenever I assisted rounds or myself did the visits. But at the end of the day, all of my emotions were mixed up and there was a time or two that I cried. What I didn't know was that there was a thin line between the roles of a person who does the healing and the person who needs the healing. Mas naipakita sa akin na kahit sino ay pwedeng mapasok sa ganon. A friend, a family, even myself in just a blink of an eye. I viewed life as a precious gift to everyone, but there came a time to me that life was something I desperately begged for. My knees and heart on the floor, and fingers clasping together towards the heavens. I understand that what my father went through was one of those cases, but he managed to come out alive. Lahat ng naisip kong senaryo na umiikot pa rin ngayon sa aking utak ay maaring katotohanan man ay malayo pa. You know, those things that could happen but you're not prepared for it. And when it did, it surely leave you scared and scarred. Tumingala ako at pumikit. Dinadama ang simoy ng hangin. You know what? You're an amazing woman and I know you're gonna do great. Does the vacation sound good? Suggestion ni Sian. Kailangan ni Papa ng pahinga sa bahay, stupid. Tears brimmed my closed eyes just thinking about the certain thought. That was how fates changed my perceptions in life. Like an alarm clock, it was a wake-up call. Sa pagmulat ng aking mga mata ay pinanood ko ang munting mga patak ng likido na umaagos papasok sa katawan ng aking ama. Pinaalis ko na si Sian para makapagpahinga naman dahil kahapon pa yun andito. Papa was awake now. How are you feeling, Pa? I said as I sat on the bed beside him. He looked so frail and small. Why does everyone ask me that? Everybody asks me that for every 5 minutes. It's nauseating. Anya. All right. Do you want to eat something? Napapahalakak ako nang marinig ko itong dumaing. I want us to go home, Chris. I'm fine. Hindi pa ako mamamatay, pero papatayin niyo ako kung hindi niyo ako pagtatrabahuhin. Inis niyang sabi. Easy there. Mga 2 or 3 araw na observations pa ang kailangan. And in those days, all you will do is to sleep and eat. Understand? Could you at least bring Harold? I'll just check a few things. Napatigil ito nang umiling ako kaagad. I jumped from the bed and brought a chair next to it. Harold is relieved from his secretary duties as of the moment. I know you're thinking of the election next week. The doctors advised against it and I too. Inunahan ko na ito. He was supposed to run for the Senate. Their political advisors and campaign managers planned for almost a year to take that position. But here he were. Sa 1 linggo na lang ang filing ng Certificate of Candidacy at opisyal na campaign period. So, when he let out generous strings of profanities, I let him. He could curse all day he wants, but he wouldn't run this term. I checked the time and noticed that my visitation time were used. You should rest too, Papa. Seryoso kong sabi at tumayo na. He was staring at me like I was some cruel animal as I left. Kumaway ako rito bago isinara ang pinto. Alam kong mahirap sa kanyang tanggapin na bawal muna niyang gawin ang mga bagay na gusto niya. Mamimilit yan kapag hindi ko iniwan at baka ma-stress lamang siya na bawal na bawal. Adjustments were made according to Kuya Vic. It was advised that he should file for that position, but he firmly declined at alam kong kung ayaw niya ay hindi yun mangyayari. My other titos would file but it's already risky. Nang marating ko ang sulok ng parking lot ay nakita ko kaagad si Gab. Prente itong nakasandal sa gilid ng kotse. Nakakross ang mga kamay. He's wearing casual shirt and jeans. He towered over me before leaning down for a little kiss. Umikot sa kanyang leeg ang aking mga kamay bilang suporta sa pagtingala ko sa kanya. How is he? Anya nang nasa loob na kami ng kotse. He's recovering fast, but not fast enough. I moved my palm that was casually flat on his thigh as he drove. Dumapo doon kaagad ang isa niyang kamay at pinagsalikop ang aming mga daliri. He flew again here 2 days after hearing the news. Hindi ko sinabi sa kanya at sa iba pa lang niya nalaman. Gab was a little bit outraged but he quickly got over it upon seeing my previous state. Ilang araw na siyang namamalagi rito sa Cebu at tuwing gabi lamang kami nagkikita o kapag tapos na ang visitation hours ni Papa. Bubuti rin ang laga ni Gab, but you're too busy taking care of him that you're forgetting yourself. That's not how it's going to work, Chris. He glanced at me sideways. I wouldn't worry about me as long as you're here. Kinagat ko ang pang-ibabang labi. I saw the light humor in his dark eyes, the side of his lips curling majestically. Right? Sabi ko. Aha. Dinala niya sa kanyang mga labi ang aming mga daliri at hinalikan yon. Bumitiw lamang siya nang iginalaw ang gear shift. I remembered the meeting earlier that Arjuna informed me about. Tungkol yun sa eleksyon at nasali ang ipapatayong orphanage ni Arjun. It was approved, but he was shocked that the payment was already complete and the title was transferred to him. Bakit binuo mo na yung bayad ng lupa? Pati ang titulo ay nilipat mo na rin. I asked bluntly. Kita ko ang gulat sa mga mata ni Gab. Tinaasan niya ako ng kilay. Akala ba niya hindi ko malalaman? I see you've grown knowledge about that, he said lightly. Arjun called me earlier and we already talked. He knows what to do. So, what was that about? Tinanggal ko ang aking palad sa kanyang hita at mariin siyang tiningnan. Sinabi rin sa akin ni Arjun na walang pangalang Gabriel Damiano o Jerome Damiano ang sangkot sa mga papeles. Like, we dealt with different persons. He looked at my hand accusingly but focused on the road again. Malapit na ang eleksyon, Chris. Arjun's already holding a lot on his sleeves and your family too. Gusto ko lang na mabawasan ang mga iniisip nung bata and I want to help too. But that land was just too big, Gab. Siguradong kinastigo na si Arjun kung bakit hindi pa inabot ng kalahati ang perang dapat gagastahin niya roon. We have a fund for those projects, you know? I said in bewilderment. Like I said, he knows what to do. Huwag ka nang mag-alala, Chris. Siya ring gastos yun sa ospital. I want to help in many ways, but I'm limited. Even seeing you, I'm limited. Sinalubong niya ako ng tingin ng hahamon bago muling binalik sa daan ang mata. I remained silent. Siya na ang nagpresentang sa pribado kami magkita. I agreed because this may fuel the feud between me and the Thomases, but moreover, si Papa. Magagalit siya kapag nalaman niyang nakikita kami ni Gab sa ospital habang siya nakahiga doon at nagpapahinga. Pero wala na siyang dapat ikagalit kapag bumalik na ako doon bukas. Gab stopped the car in front of a quiet restaurant. Nang pumasok kami, halos wala ring tao. So, naupo kami sa pinakapribadong sulok. Parang sinasakal ang puso ko dahil pahirapan pa kung gusto akong ilabas ni Gab. Kung siguro'y ibang babae na kahit gabi-kabilaan ay pwede. Walang bawal, walang mali. What's the problem, Are you still thinking about your father? Puna sa akin ni Gab sa kalagitnaan ng aming pagkain. I could tell that he really wanted to ask me that noong nasa sasakyan pa lamang. Siguro ay kating-kati na siya ngayon at hindi na nakapagpigil. I look up from my plate. My eyes met with the two most beautiful orbs I have ever seen in my life. His eyes were the color of the deepest dark oceans, wild thunderstorms rolling in its wake. Kapag may emosyon ay laging masidhi, nakakawala ng balanse. Kapag walang emosyon ay nakakamatay sa sobrang lungkot. His thick brows complemented just how expressive his eyes can be. His aristocratic nose and strong jaw, his thin lip. That made me think of Cupid's bow. My Gab was too beautiful to be called the devil. All he simply did was love me for who I am and what I could do. He was for me and I was for him. But why couldn't I have loved him in a better way? Stay with me tonight, baby. I don't think I could let you go when you're like this. He leaned too close, his nose nuzzling on my neck. I want to hear everything, okay? Hindi. Uuwi ako sa amin, Gab. Umiling ako sa kanya at lumayo ng kaunti. Pinagmasdan ako ng kanyang mga mata. Mariin itong nanunuri at lumambot din ng kalaunan. If you're still worried about Governor, then I will arrange a transfer to US. The best cardiologist will greatly improve his condition. It's not that. Marahan kong putol kay Gab. Then what's bothering you? Baby, please tell me. Umikot sa aking bewang ang kanyang isang kamay at ang isa naman ay lumapat sa aking panga. Ang sabi ko ay lalaban ako para sa aming dalawa. Nangako ako sa sarili ko pero hinainan ako ng gantong sitwasyon ng tadhana. Tila ba may nakaupong kinatawan ng langit sa isang tabi, naghihintay kung sino at ano ang pipiliin ko. Whatever this is, I want out. Gusto kong itigilan natin, Gab. Buong boses kong sabi. His grip on me loosened a bit as he stared at me, wide-eyed and confused. Palipat-lipat ang kanyang mga mata sa paghahanap ng sagot sa aking mukha. I managed to stare at him without breaking down. Okay. I understand what you're going through. You want a break? That's fine. A week or two? That's fine for me. He said after a million seconds of staring at me. Hirap na hirap itong lingunin ako. Ang mga mata ay kinukumbinsi ang sarili. Hindi ganun ang gusto ko. Ang gusto ko ay permanente na. Kung ano man ito, tapusin na. I breathed. My recent feud with the Thomases didn't make it any better. Nagpapadala na ng mensahe si Mama sa akin wanting to confirm if it's true, and I'm sure Alina already knew about it. Kung ano man ito, whatever this is, that's too harsh, don't you think? This is us, Chris. You and me. And not just some whatever this is. Umayos ng upo si Gab. Nagkakagulo ang mga emosyon sa mata, like it's too much for him to handle. You see, Gab, I couldn't even call this a proper relationship. Simpleng paglabas natin ay kailangang patago pa. Kung ibang babae lamang ang kasama mo, walang problema. So, let's just be practical and end this. I bit my lips. I forced myself to be calm. Ang gusto ko, maghiwalay kami ni Gab nang hindi nagkakasakitan as much as possible. Pero mukhang imposible yata yun. Oh? That's a big problem because I don't want to date or to be involved with anyone else. Publicity is what you want, huh? Gusto mong ipakilala kita sa mundo bilang akin? Yun lang ba, Christina? Because I'll do just that. The anger in his eyes was imminent. That's not what I meant. Ang gusto ko ay itigil na natin ito para maging magaan ang buhay ng isa't isa. Hindi mo ba nararamdaman na nahihirapan ako? Intindihin mo, Gab, na hindi lang sa'yo umiikot ang buhay ko. I know that. Your father is at the hospital right now and you'll support him in every way you can. Hindi kita pipigilan doon. Hindi ako makasarili. Hahayaan kitang alagaan siya. Our relationship doesn't have to end. You wouldn't need to put an effort for it to work because I'll be the one to do it, okay? My father needs me. Hindi ko na napigilan ang pagtulo ng mga luha. Mabilis ang mga kamay ni Gab na pinunasan yon, hinalikan. I pushed him gently but he caught my hands. Yes, I know that. You love him so much. You could give all that love to him and I wouldn't say a thing. Just don't leave me again, please. Bulong niya sa aking liig. I wish he could understand. I wish he wasn't stubborn. His heart was too strong and it won't realize that there were so many things that was keeping us apart. Siguro ay sinumpa kaming dalawa. Ayaw ng mga makapangyarihan sa aming dalawa kaya dumarating ang mga gantong pangyayari sa aming buhay. You need to understand me, Gab. Pagbigyan mo ko, huwag mo akong papiliin dahil hindi ikaw ang pipiliin ko kung sakali. My voice broke as I tried to distance myself away from him. I know that too. Choosing me will always be the last thing you'll do, and it's fine for me. It's completely fine. Mahihirapan ako at mas lalo ka na. Try to move on now. I gave you a chance and it didn't work. Kahit anong laban ko, laging may pambato sa akin pabalik. It's time we end this. I stopped myself from holding his face, looking very desperate and hopeless. Kung ipagpapatuloy pa namin ito ay baka lumala lamang ang kaso kina Mama. Hindi pa yun natatapos, si Papa ang maaapektuhan. Baka lumala lamang ang kanyang sakit at kung ano ang mangyari. If we end this now, they won't have any proof and I'll just come up with a lie to save my ass. There is still time to prevent worse things to happen. Parang hindi mawawala ng sasabihin si Gab kung tumingala ito at magkimkim. He looked his eyes, breathing so hard, para akong sinusunog ng buhay sa sakit. Why was it so easy for you to leave me? It's too easy for you, huh? You can do it in a heartbeat. Kayang-kaya mo akong itapon at iwan. I'm so sorry, Gab. But let's not make this any harder. Tanggapin nating tutol ang lahat sa atin. Ilang beses na rin akong nagbulag-bulagan. I made sacrifices too and it still didn't work. Tila kay sakit ng aking bawat paghinga. Gab opened his eyes. It was bloodshot, glistening with his precious tears. This doesn't make me love you any less. He tried one more time. I still love you no matter how much this fucking hurt. I tried to compose myself when we got out of the restaurant. Nagpaalam ako kay Gab na magpapasundo na lamang ako sa driver ngunit hindi siya pumayag. He was silent and so was I on the way home. Para akong lumulutang sa dami ng emosyon na nakamit ko. He stopped the car abruptly that my body was pushed forward. His lips immediately landed on mine, punishing and desperate. I allowed myself a taste of him for me to remember, something I'd cradle with me later this evening until the sun shines. His hands gripped my shoulders as if wanting to shake me so bad that maybe my decision would alter. Ramdam na ramdam ko ang kanyang sakit na kinikimkim. I moved away and gasped for air. No. His lips found mine again, still leaving me breathless. Halos buhatin ako ni Gab patungo sa kanyang kandungan habang sinusuyod ng kanyang dila ang aking bibig. His large hands touched every part of me, looking for something I couldn't give. Minsang tinulak ko siyang muli at saka lamang siya humiwalay. Ako na ang nagbukas ng pinto at hindi na siya hinintay pa. Madali rin itong bumaba at lumuhod sa aking harapan. Don't do this, Chris. Please. Don't leave me again. Huwag ganito. I'm begging you. He found my hands and kissed them. Pumatak ng pumatak ang aking mga luha habang tinitingnan ang lalaking aking mahal na nakaluhod at nagmamakaawa. Hopelessness were written in his eyes and his mouth made promises that any girl would die for. Fuck. Don't let me go again, baby. I could take on anything but this. Damn it, Chris. Walang itigil akong umiling sa kanya habang binababa ang kanyang mga kamay na nakahawak sa aking baywang. Hilam na ang aking mukha. Ang aking boses ay basag. Ang puso ay durog. Sa puntong nakawala ako ay agaran akong tumakbo papasok sa gate. The guards immediately came to me and I requested for a vehicle to deliver me to the mansion. Pakiramdam ko ay mahihimatay na ako. All I heard was Gab's curses and the painful screeching of his tires as he drove away. I cried myself to sleep that night. Kinabukasan ay naligo lamang ako at kumain. Dumiretso na ako kaagad sa ospital dahil pakiramdam ko ay mababaliw ako sa loob ng bahay. Papa was reading a magazine when I went in. I figured he already ate because of the plates on the side table. Good morning, Pa. How are you doing? I kissed his cheek and sat on the side of the bed. He stared at me for a minute. I shifted on my seat. I'm fine, Iha. Can't wait to be discharged from this boring hellhole. He dropped the magazine elsewhere, his eyes focusing more on me. Once more, a little bit longer than usual. That's good to hear then. Just a few more days and you'll be out. I carefully nodded. Nakikiramdam ako. Tama nga ang aking hinala. Nang umayos ito ng upo at tingin, pormang nasa kanyang opisina. I was on the phone when it happened. It triggered my heart attack. He started. Tumayo ako kaagad at dinuro ito. Hindi natin yan pag-uusapan hanggang at dito pa tayo. The doctors specifically said that you shouldn't be stressed physically and emotionally. So stop, okay? Nangangapa na naman yan ng sasabihin katulad na lang noong bagong gising pa. Kating-kating ang dila ng matanda simula pa lang noong una pero pilit kong iniiwasan yung topic. It might trigger the worst in his system and I refuse to have that. Kaya dapat natin itong pag-usapan hanggang andito pa ako. What if tomorrow morning I won't be or maybe even later? No, you stop that. Stop saying things like that. I pointed an accusing finger towards him. Hindi na alintana ang pagtaas ng aking boses. I know that you are the most deeply affected in this, but you have to be fair. Having one foot in the grave made me think of many things. Matanda na ako, Christina. Huli na para magbago pero may mga bagay akong gustong mangyari habang hindi pa huli ang lahat. He stared at me sternly. My lips thinned. Guilt flooded me because he's right. I hadn't taken his side seriously. He'd surely thought of a million things, of the possibilities and the regret, the what-ifs in his life. I exhaled. Come here. Anya at kinapa ang pwesto ko kanina sa kanyang tabi. Tears burned in my eyes when I took that spot. Pinahid ko yun kaagad at tiningnan ang kanyang nangangayayat na mukha, ang mga matang muntik nang hindi bumukas. Your mother was the caller. Tinatanong niya kung totoo bang ikaw ang kinakasama ni Gabriel Damiano. You had mentioned it to me a few weeks ago though. We were just talking and it had gotten a little bit out of hand. Tiningnan niya ako ng mariin. Is he, Chris? Be honest with me, my dear. Yes. Walang palya kong sagot sa kanya. I cautiously told him about my incident with the Thomases in Manila. I knew it! Damn that boy. Look what he did to my little girl. He massaged his chest so I immediately panicked. Pero napigilan ako ni Papa nang muntik ko nang pindutin ang pulang emergency button. It's been years, Chris. Siya pa rin? He probed once more. Takot akong sumakit muli ang kanyang dibdib kaya yumuko na lang ako. He cursed like a sailor but he held my face in his hands. Tears began streaming down my cheeks. Not anymore. I broke up with him. Hopefully, he'll understand. Matatahimik na tayo at walang ebidensya sila mama para guluhin pa tayo. I breathed out. I remember last night, particular na ang mukha ni Gab na nagmamakaawa. Hindi ko siya mapagbibigyan dahil kahit anong pilit niya ay hindi naman siya ang pipiliin ko. I had already made the stand. That boy. Well, actually, that boy had been constantly making deals with me over the past years. Like a creep. Mostly small businesses to conduct here in the South. But I didn't let him. Ang akala niya ay lulusot siya sa akin kapag galante. Hindi. I just stared at my father confused when he began chuckling. Ang pamamaga ng aking mukha mula kagabi ay nanumbalik ngayong humihikbi na naman ako. Chris, I'm sorry I lied to you. There was no wedding and there's no invitation. Nagawa ko lamang yon dahil nahihirapan akong nakikita kang nasasaktan. I'm so sorry, Christina. He said, and I had gotten even more confused. Yun ang kasukdulan ng galit ko. Ang nagtulak sa akin para magbago at bumangon. The anger and the hate. Why was he telling me this now? There's nothing to forgive. I understand. I'm just sorry pa that I chose the wrong man. Ibibigay sa akin pero ikaw naman ang kapalit. Hindi yun pwede. I shook my head countless times, even getting dizzy. Gab was telling the truth. Hindi ko alam kung bakit siya ang napili mo, anak. But I still don't know either why I was the man that your mother chose decades ago. Ayokong mangyari sa inyo ang nangyari sa amin. I don't want you to suffer like me. Love wasn't enough in our time. I looked up at him to see that he's staring at me. Eyes glistening. But you're here, Iha, and you have been the most wonderful thing that happened to me. Papa. I held his hand that was still on my face. I can see that you still love him and he loves you too. Hindi niya nakakalimutang ipapaalala sa akin yon, that shit-hit boy. He let out a laugh and added, I know I failed with your mother, but I realized that we're different people in different situations. I'm giving you both a second chance. Para akong nabuhusan ng malamig na tubig sa kanyang sinabi. Papa hugged me so tight, hindi ko pati maramdaman ang aking sarili. I didn't know if I was to be happy or enraged. I couldn't get that thought settled on my head like it was the biggest asteroid in the universe. A little faith. He added more. Akala ko'y naubos ko na ang luha mula kagabi at kanina, pero mas lalo lamang yung bumuhos ngayon. Where it was coming, I don't know. Just like Papa's confession. That wasn't him. It was the person who came back. And the real him was somewhere unknown. I couldn't believe it. You said you broke up with him? Call him now. Bawiin mo. Ang kanyang tumataginting na utos. I jumped out of bed and out of the room, not to call Gab, but to get air. Dinig ko ang mga plano ni Papa para sa amin, ngunit tumakbo na ako palabas. I reached the open hospital garden and put my hands on my knees. Whew, that wasn't my father. My father loathed Gabriel Damiano. He despised him in all forms, I couldn't understand this reverse of his long-made decision. Nakarinig ako ng mabibilis na mga yabag at sigaw ng aking pangalan sa aking gilid. Tinalunton ng aking mga mata ang pinagmumula ng humahangos na mga tawag. Gab was running towards me, and when he did reach my spot, he immediately fell down on his knees again, just like last night. Hindi niya ako binigyan ng pagkakataong makapagsalita. Lumuhod siya kaagad at inabot ang aking mga kamay. Halos maputol ang aking hininga sa kanyang ginawa. He produced something square from his pocket and held it open for me. The stone sparked infinitely like the stars. Marry me, Chris. Marry me, and let me make the world see just how much we own each other. Let me tell everyone that this is the truth, that you are and will always be the only love of my life. Let's make us real, so marry me. His penetrating eyes promised me the world. At dito na po muna natin tatapusin ang ating pagbabasa sa ngayon. I hope na nagustuhan nyo ang 2 episode na ito. So, kung nagustuhan nyo ang episodes na ito, please hit the like button and comment down below. At kung hindi ka pa nakapag-subscribe sa aking channel, hit the subscribe button and bell all na rin para ma-notify ka kung kailan ang bago nating upload. Maraming salamat sa pakikinig and hanggang sa muli.